Hello and welcome to BattleTech Faction Briefings. Happy New Year, everybody! And I intend to start the new year with my favorite of the 5 great houses, House Merrick. This time we are looking at a requested unit. They are called the White Sabers. They would split off to form Hansen's Rough Riders. They are the one and only 12th Atrean Dragoons. The symbol of the Atrean Dragoons is a shield with colored rectangles set upon it. This shield features a red number above it, which represents the regimental number of the unit. The 12th have an elaborate regimental symbol of 2 crossed cavalry swords, held in place by doves, representing their name of the White Sabers very well. All regiments of the Atrean Dragoons feature the same color scheme of light gray with green highlights. The 12th Atrean Dragoons do have a long history, and some of their story is told in fiction. If you want to skip spoilers, then go to the time listed. The origins of the Atrean Dragoons go to the time before the establishment of the Free Worlds League. They were first established in the 2200s as part of the Merrick Commonwealth, where Atreus is located. When the League was established in 2271, the Dragoons remained guards for the Merrick Commonwealth. However, as the League expanded, the Free World's guards were not enough to protect the borders, and the Parliament would request the use of the Dragoons to assist in border defense. In 2528, the Dragoons were formally made part of the FWLM instead of a provincial military. This was done by Captain General Albert Merrick during the Second Andurian War. However, they kept their tradition of recruiting new soldiers from the academies on Atreus. The Andurian War would be very bloody, and would be a key reason Albert Merrick would accept joining the Star League. The Star League Council Edict of 2650 would have no effect on the 12th, but the newly formed 15th would be disbanded. The soldiers of the 15th would be moved into the forces guarding the Duchy of Andurian. The Atrean Dragoons would be extremely loyal to the leadership of the Free Worlds League. The Dragoons would stand on the Loyalist side during the Merrick Civil War of 2729. The war would lead to new leadership and limitations on the power of the Captain General. During the later years of the Star League, the Dragoons would be used as muscle for the Captain General. More than that, the Dragoons would be used to attack the Lyran border and cause trouble for the SLDF during the Ameris Civil War. Moreover, Captain General Kenyon Merrick reinforced the Dragoons as the Star League started to fall apart in anticipation of invading the remains of the Terran hegemony. By 2765, the 12th would be stationed on Jardane near the Lyran border in preparation for the coming war. The 12th would begin the First Succession War on Jardane, but would get transferred to different worlds along the Lyran border for raids against the longtime enemy of House Merrick. The only known battle during this war for the 12th Atrean Dragoons was taking Alula Borealis from the Lyran Commonwealth. By the end of the war, they would be stationed on Alula Borealis, but worn down to 47% effectiveness. The 12th were able to build up to 104% effectiveness between the wars. They also grew from a medium-weight unit to a heavy unit. They would defend the border during this time. By the end of the war, the 12th would be down to 77% and remain on Alula Borealis. In 2961, an AFFS officer by the name of Ludwig Hansen took a regiment of soldiers and defected to the Free Worlds League due to the purges that were occurring in the Federated Suns. He would join the 12th, which was led by his distant relative, Major General Gerhard Hansen. This would increase the role played by the Hansen family within the unit for the next few decades. When the Merrick Civil War started in 3014, the 12th Atrean Dragoons sided with Anton Merrick in his mission to dethrone his brother Janos Merrick. However, several high-ranked officers chose to leave the 12th rather than revolt against the Captain General. Their first target was McKenna, then they moved on to Semenya. They did not have many problems in the early stages of the war. Their next target was Matheron, where they would face off with the 11th Atrean Dragoons. They would get caught in a hunt for the 11th, who used quick hit-and-run maneuvers to outmatch the 12th. Over the months of battle, the 11th would get worn down to half strength. but the arrival of Smithson's Chinese bandits would give the 11th enough extra firepower to turn the tables on the 12th. It was the arrival of Beta and Gamma regiments of Wolf's Dragoons that won the world for the rebels. The 11th were defeated and captured. It is believed that the 12th's commander, Francis Ferdinand, was killed during the fighting on Matheron. He would be replaced by Gerhard Hansen, the grandson of Ludwig Hansen. The 12th would work with Beta and Gamma, as well as the 3rd Ducal Guards, to attack Callaway in order to stop the advance of the Loyalist forces. The 12th lost a dropship, wiping out an entire company. The Ducal Guards and the 12th took heavy damage in the fighting. The 1st and 2nd Oriente Hussars surrounded the 12th and forced them to surrender in November 3014. After the war, the remains of the 12th, alongside other angry former Free Worlds League soldiers, would group together on Ilion. There would be a battle on this world, either between the former FWLM forces, or perhaps between the renegade Free Worlds troops and some other forces. When the battle was complete, Gerhard Hansen would create a new mercenary unit, Hansen's Rough Riders. The few remaining Loyalist members of the 12th would be granted a second chance and be rebuilt. Julian Langsdorff would be put in command of the unit. They would be moved to Vanra to rebuild. By 3026, they would still be under strength and set on garrison duty on Thermopolis. In March 3028, the 12th would be sent to Helm to deal with the Grey Death Legion, a mercenary unit they believed had gone rogue. The 12th would move in quickly and destroy the Legion's home defense units and capture their stronghold. Captain Langsdorff would also have command of the Hammerstrike Company of the 5th Merrick Guards. They destroyed most of Helm's defenders. However, things changed once the Legion's main force arrived on Helm. They would hunt down the Legion, but be outmaneuvered in several small skirmishes. By April 3028, Langsdorff would learn that he had been given false intel on the Legion. He would then withdraw his troops from the battle. This would prevent the Grey Death Legion from being destroyed, and more importantly, allow the Legion to gain a copy of the Helm Memory Core, which was then shared to all 5 great houses and various academic institutions. At the beginning of the 4th Succession War, the 12th were considered a green unit, due to the rushed nature of them rebuilding after the damage they took fighting the Grey Death Legion. They were on Matheron. Ironically, they would be stationed there with the 11th Atrean Dragoons. While the 12th was weak, they still assisted other units in the defense of the Free Worlds League border during the war. The Andurian secession would bring chaos again into the stability of the Free Worlds League. It would take time for a counterattack to bring the Andurians back into the League. In 3033, the 12th would be sent out to assist in the fight against the Andurian forces on Scarborough. The world was held by the 6th Merrick Militia, but when they went off on a raid, the world would get captured by the 5th Defenders of Andurian. The 12th would arrive and have to battle the entrenched 5th Defenders. The fighting was so intense that both sides were heavily damaged. The 5th would be destroyed, but after the heavy fighting, the 12th would be recalled and sent to Vanra to repair and refit. By 3040, the team was rebuilt and would go back to leading raids across the border. One of the most notable is in 3046 on the world of Sarna. They would run into the Grim Determination mercenaries. The 22 days of fighting would cause the 12th to lose a third of their mech forces and all of their conventional forces. They would be rebuilt by 49 and would get sent to Sarna once again, but this time to rescue the 2nd Merrick Militia. They would deal heavy damage to the Sarna Training Battalion and the 3rd FedCom RCT. The 2nd and 12th both took heavy losses, but the damage dealt to the FedCom forces caused the attack to be considered a success. Even after they had rebuilt, the 12th Atrean Dragoons would remain on Vanra. However, they would be called out to battle during Operation Guerrero. They would team up with the 5th Merrick Militia and the 7th Free Worlds Legionnaires to attack the world of Marcus in 3057. The League forces would battle the mech forces of the 12th FedCom RCT, as the secondary units of the RCT made their escape. The 7th Free Worlds Legionnaires took heavy damage in the fighting, but the 12th Atrean Dragoons and 5th Merrick Militia would encircle and destroy the 12th FedCom, taking the world for the Free Worlds League. By 3067, resentment over Thomas Merrick's policies would lead Alice Rosette Merrick into taking steps to limit his power politically. The 12th Atrean Dragoons would be supporters of the anti-Thomas side of the Free Worlds debate. At this time, they would be stationed on Marcus and would have 90% of their equipment at Star League levels, and the remainder of their equipment was Omnitech. Things got worse in 3068, when it was revealed that Thomas Merrick was an imposter. The attacks on the Free World's leadership on Atreus would lead Alice Rosette Merrick to form a resistance force built on her family's mercenary unit, the Crushers. The 12th Atrean Dragoons would be the second unit to join this resistance force. Over the next 3 years, the resistance forces would fight across the crumbling Free Worlds League. As the war progressed, the resistance forces would start working with Stone's coalition in order to stop the Word of Blake. In 3077, the 12th Atrean Dragoons would assist in the liberation of Outreach and fight Wanamaker's Widowmakers. The 12th would work with the 7th Donegal Guards, Devil's Brigade, and Clan Hell's Horse's 11th Mechanized Cavalry to take back the world of Heathen in 78. They would battle the Protectorate Militia, as well as 4th McCarran's Armored Cavalry and 4th Tau Ceti Rangers. The anti-Blake coalition forces would parley with the Capellans in order to team up against the Word of Blake. But after the Blake forces were defeated, the Capellans turned on the coalition, to nobody's surprise. Then, the 12th and the rest of the Free World's resistance forces would join the coalition on Terra to attack Sandhurst Royal Military College in England. They would work with the Comstar 5th Army as well as the 7th Donegal Guards and Devil's Brigade in this mission. The assault team would take on more than 12 Blake formations in the conquering of the War College in a bloody month-long campaign. The 12th would be stationed on Rochelle alongside the Crushers in 3079 to rebuild. When the war with the Word of Blake was over, the 12th Atrean Dragoons would be heavily damaged and at 40% of previous strength. The world of Rochelle would join the Republic of the Sphere in 3081. This put the Dragoons in a strange position, as their garrison world was now part of a different nation. The 12th Atrean Dragoons would choose to remain with the Republic, and their commander would become one of the original 17 Paladins. This would be the end of the 12th, as their troops were integrated into the Republic of the Sphere's military. The 12th Atrean Dragoons are one of the longest-lived members of its parent command. They would be one of the few units that rebelled against Janos Merrick that got to remain part of the FWLM. They would spawn Hansen's Rough Riders and would become part of the Republic of the Sphere. They will never return, but their impact on Free Worlds League history cannot be ignored. Despite the long history of the unit, there are very few mech warriors of note. Here are some of the most famous. Francis Ferdinand. He took command of the Rebel 12th during the Merrick Civil War. Despite being under strength, he would lead the Dragoons to several victories. He would die during the Battle of Mathuran while battling the 11th Atrean Dragoons and Smithson's Chinese bandits. Gerhard Hansen. He took over the Rebel 12th when Colonel Ferdinand died. After the defeat at Callaway, he would lead his troops and others out of the Free Worlds League and form Hansen's Rough Riders. He piloted a Cyclops. Julian Langsdorff. He was put in command after the Merrick Civil War. He would have difficulty trying to rebuild the unit, but the success he would find would help him raise to the rank of commander of the 3 remaining Atrean Dragoon regiments prior to the clan invasion. Kellyan Brackey. He took command prior to the clan invasion until the unit joined the Republic of the Sphere in 3081. He was able to keep the team together during difficult times, and would lead his team to join the Free World's resistance forces during the Word of Blake War. Later, he would become a paladin after joining the Republic. Christian Hampton. He was a skilled tactician who made his way into the command of the 3rd Battalion, and eventually the XO of the 12th Atrean in the 3060s. He was the lover of Alice Rosette Merrick, but their daughter was killed during a Word of Blake attack in 3075. He would join the Republic of the Sphere with Alice and Kellyan in the 3080s. The Atrean Dragoons use all standard mechs that the Free Worlds League has access to over the centuries. They also might have some Lyran mechs as well, due to the amount of raids during the Succession Wars. However, After the 3060s, the 12th would be equipped with top-of-the-line gear. They were primarily used as a raiding and quick-strike team. They would come in with heavy firepower and would rarely face drawn-out battles. When they did face drawn-out battles, the 12th did not usually hold out very well, though there are exceptions, oftentimes because they had enough backup to succeed in the mission. The 12th Atrean Dragoons began as a medium-weight unit and would upgrade to a heavy unit over the course of the Succession Wars. They would be supported by one wing of medium arrow fighters, the 12th Dragoon Air Wing, one regiment of armor, the 2nd Marcus Heavy Armor, 2 regiments of infantry, 392nd Free Worlds League Infantry Brigade. They also had enough dropships and jump ships to move their unit to where they needed to go and get back as quickly as possible. There are 2 pieces of fiction that feature the 12th Atrean Dragoons. Eagles over Scarborough is a fun story from the Endurian Secession, and Price of Glory is the 3rd part of the Grey Death saga, taking place on Helm. Beyond that, there are plenty of sourcebook entries to fill out their history, location data, and missions. This briefing was a long time coming. I wanted to cover the 12th ever since I was working on the Grey Death Legion a few years back. This was reinforced when I did my Merrick Militia videos that briefly discussed the Merrick Civil War and the Endurian Secession. I'm not sure the 12th Atrean Dragoons live up to my hopes, but they have more history than many house units. I'm glad I took the time to give the 12th a spotlight, because they are a unit that really shows the ups and downs of the Free Worlds League. I hope that future House military briefings are as enjoyable and feature as much depth as I found when I was working on the 12th Atrean Dragoons. When it comes to painting up a unit, the 12th Atrean Dragoons are not a bad idea for fans of the Free Worlds League. There are only 3 Atrean Dragoon units that survived the Succession Wars, but the color scheme of all regiments remains the same, meaning you can use the 12th as the 11th or the 1st. Depending on the mission you are playing out. This gives you access to a few interesting battles from the Age of War to the Dark Age. Next time, I'll be covering the mercenary unit that spun off from the 12th Atrean Dragoons, Hansen's Rough Riders. Then in February, I will be covering a House Davian unit, and probably Brian's Legion. If you have a favorite Davian unit, please let me know in the comments, and I'll consider covering them next month. I want to give a big thank you to all of those who have been watching this series. Whether you are a new fan or an old fan, thank you so much for watching. May your weapons stay hot, and your reactors stay cool. Please check out the other BattleTech Faction Briefings videos. And to make things easier, I have a convenient playlist. Until next time, thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the tavern.